All right, Stephen, one more announcement we wanted to talk about. In the data space, AWS made news with the GA of Bedrock, which enables customers to run foundational ML models from companies like Anthropic, Meta, and of course, AWS itself. But many companies are worried about hallucination and want to include their own data in these models. And that's what AWS is delivering with something called Guardrails. It's what AWS partners are leaning into. Stephen, what's the deal with Guardrails for Bedrock?
Yeah, I think that as you mentioned, AWS did announce Q, which is a chatbot, but we're going to steer clear of that. Let's talk about Bedrock because it's more relevant to our audience. Bedrock allows you to run ML models from a variety of sources in the cloud and integrate them with your own data to some extent. Now, I actually did an interview with a company called Click that integrates with Bedrock and allows you to absolutely pull in enterprise data, build custom chatbots based on publicly trained models that really have access to your own information. Very cool stuff. And it's on the lips of basically everybody here. I keep talking to people at the show about machine learning, and they're not talking about, oh, I wish I had a better chatbot. What they're saying is, I wish I had essentially a artificially intelligent intern that I could ask about my company's data that wouldn't make stuff up. And that would be nice, wouldn't it? So AWS is leaning into that as well. Guardrails is actually a really smart product. Essentially, it allows you to restrain the worst tendencies of your ML models. So you can say, for example, here's a set of topics that are off limits. Here's a set of words that are off limits. You can say, here's the data that you have to use in order to make your judgment. You can't use whatever data was baked into the training to begin with. And again, this is very smart. Now, I don't know how great this product is because, of course, it's new and it'll take a while for us to really see where it goes. But it's the right idea. Essentially, what we need to take AI to the next level when it comes to ML models is we need the ability to incorporate our own data and to build custom versions of these things and to steal Amazon's trademark name here, guardrails around those things so that they don't hallucinate, so they don't go off the rails, and so they don't go, bringing in data that we would rather not have these systems use. I think that it's going to be important for customers that are implementing machine learning, especially generative AI, to put guardrails around these models, because otherwise they're just going to have more egg on their face when the models do stupid stuff.
I like that point. And I'm thinking back to a presentation we got earlier this year in May from Juniper Networks at Mobility Field Day 9, where they were talking about the fact that they were going to build a system using AI, their Marvis AI, but in a GPT kind of, chat GPT kind of interface where I can ask it questions. But they don't want it to pull in stuff from the internet because that stuff could be wrong. What they want is to only go through the database of, known issues or things like that just for their system. And they want it to return answers that are correct or not return an answer at all, as opposed to what I have said is the chat GPT method of salesmanship. I don't care what the answer looks like as long as I give you one, even if it's completely, totally wrong and I made some stuff up. So I think that those guardrails are really important because it, A, tells the system to only use these data sets, B, tells it to return answers that are factually correct, and C, keeps people from mining data using your chat interface. And if you don't think folks can do that, all you got to do is Google prompt engineering, and you can find very creative ways to ask a learning system to send you information it shouldn't be talking to you about. Every time someone types something into a chat GPT interface and gets a response that says, I'm not allowed to talk about that for X number of reasons, they will immediately then try to find a way to coach the system to give it that. Could you imagine what would happen if it suddenly started spouting out personally identifiable information? You'd go nuts, and so would the press. So I like this idea of saying, here's what we're going to work on, here's what we're going to build, and here's all the things you're not allowed to do with it. Asimov has his 3 rules. I think this is probably going to be, 3 laws. This is going to be a little bit more than that, but I think it's important to kind of get that foundational aspect in there now as opposed to later.